at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We got to unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to Dean Obeidallah Show, brothers and sisters. Tuesday, February 4th. There's nothing going on, folks. There's not results coming in from the first caucus. There's not a State of the Union, which we're not going to watch, because if I want to be lied to, I'll just read Trump's tweets. There's not an impeachment. Tomorrow's the last day of impeachment, folks, but it's sort of like a TV series that's been canceled. You're probably not going to watch the last episode because you know how it's going to play out. But everything is going crazy in Iowa. They've released 62% of the results, and I think it's made it worse. Just release all of it. Because, to be blunt, and we'll go through it in a second, I want to get your reaction, of course, is what if who's leading now is not leading in an hour from now when they release the results, the rest of this? And yes, I know that's the way the real voting comes in. You get it piecemeal. But at this point, a day later, why not wait a few more hours, just give us the end result? Although the flip side is all the Democrats, at least three of them get to say they did pretty well, and Sanders and Buttigieg get to say they won. Sanders winning the first preference, meaning people coming in and going, that's what I want. Buttigieg so far winning the second preference, which was after some candidates didn't get 15%, namely Klobuchar, and her people went over to Buttigieg, it seems like. So we're going to see what happens. Biden didn't do horrific, didn't do well. Liz Warren, I think, very solid. So none of these people are going to drop out. That's for sure. And we'll find out more if we get updated reporting. But I just wanted to touch on a few things here that it all had to do with an app that didn't work. And there's a bigger picture here. It's not just about this app didn't function. And I'm not debating should we have a caucus or not. That's like saying, hey, should we cut the grass while the house is on fire? We can talk about caucuses later. And should it not be a caucus and should Iowa be first? Fine. It's a relevant discussion, but not now. Not until we defeat Donald Trump. Then we can talk about that stuff. But what was bizarre was last night, if you were watching, everyone's waiting for results, nothing comes in. Then we get the reporting. There was an app issue. And so the results of over 1,600 precincts could not be reported through this app that they counted on. But here's the bizarre wrinkle. Because now they have the paper ballots and they're counting those. This is the first year, though, they've had the paper ballots. I don't even know what would have happened if there were not the paper ballots. Now, I imagine all the precinct captains wrote down the results and we would have that. But by having the paper ballots with the exact answer, there can be no dispute this is the actual results. And that's an important lesson here. If you want to make sure people have confidence in the system, you need paper ballots. Because if it was all electronic, there'd be a lot of discussions now. Did Donald Trump's friends hack into this? And thankfully, last night, the Iowa Democratic Party, while having a lot of challenges, to be nice, said that this is not a hack or an intrusion. Today, they went forward and said that the caucuses, when they were getting results, the app wasn't working. People tried to call in. They couldn't do it. And ultimately, they said the data was recorded accurately. That's fundamentally important. And they wanted to wait to report later once they felt more confident that the numbers they were about to give to the American people were correct. That's fine. We all wanted it immediately. That's the world we live in. But I'd rather get them correct than wrong. And so interesting, like last night and this morning, essentially all the candidates making some statement about how they won something. Here's clip number 1, please. Clip 1.
We know there's delays, but we know one thing. We are punching above our weight.
By the time it's all said and done, Iowa, you have shocked the nation.
When those results are announced, I have a good feeling we're going to be doing very, very well here in Iowa.
I got to say, I'm a numbers guy. We're still waiting on numbers from tonight.
Last one was Andrew Yang. So he didn't do that well. But So they had a conference call today, a lot of discussion of what's going on. It was heated. Finally, we find out 5 p.m. Eastern time. Results will be released. No one knew what percentage. They knew over 50%, so literally 62% as of right now. When those numbers change, and if they do during my show, I will update you. I'm assuming they'll probably change. Can't tell you for sure. I have no idea what's going on. But, you know, you had interesting things. Simone Sanders, who's now a Biden advisor, no longer a Sanders advisor for this campaign, had a statement today after the phone call. A lot of angry people. She wasn't angry, but there were a lot of reporting that angry people on the phone call between the campaigns and the leaders of the Iowa Democratic Party. But here was Simone Sanders just sort of summing up everything. Clip number 2.
When it comes to the app, the Iowa Democratic Party app, our own precinct captains and other campaigns have noted that the app was not working. They could not input data. The backup mechanism for that was phone calls. The phone call line, the hotline was not working. Folks sat on the phone for 2 hours. And when that did not work, some precinct chairs actually tried to drive their data to the Iowa Democratic Party headquarters, and they were not let in. And so what we are saying, what our campaign is frankly saying is, look, the integrity of the process is key, and we implore the Iowa Democratic Party to check again, and check a third time on their data to make sure the numbers are accurate before they release anything.
And that's absolutely correct. The integrity of this system is the real issue. The biggest issue here is making sure people have confidence in our elections, caucus or not. That's what we want. Liz Warren's campaign put out a statement that we have pledged to help, quote, ensure the integrity of the process. Joe Biden's campaign, you just heard Simone Sanders. Buttigieg was very happy from the internal polling, looked like he's going to win. Bernie Sanders said, we have a paper trail. It was actually Jeff Weaver on the phone call with the Iowa Democrats. It's all reported by Politico because they were on the phone call as well, and saying they have a paper trail and don't discredit the party. And a short time ago, Joe Biden was in New Hampshire and was asked a question about Iowa. And if you can't hear the question was yelling out, all roads lead to Putin. So here's clip number 3 and the response by Biden.
That holds up a society.
Like Nathan
and it's made.
Says, all Trump's roads lead to Putin.
Bless me, Father. Look. Well, it's good to be in New Hampshire. Good to be in New Hampshire.
So we had a little fun with it there, Joe Biden, and all roads lead to Putin. And some of the Trumpers are outraged that anyone is suggesting, even just musing, not even suggesting, musing that maybe Russia was involved early in the morning when people woke up and didn't know what was going on. And that is a horrible conspiracy. Why would anyone think that Donald Trump would try to get Russia involved to help him win a campaign? Oh, yeah, Nina, clip number 4.
I will tell you this. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. Let's see if that happens.
Yeah, see, it's a conspiracy to suggest that maybe Russia was helping Trump again. But there's no evidence of that whatsoever. And early in the morning, I actually tweeted, I know many of my fellow Democrats are thinking perhaps Russia was involved, but to help Trump somehow in this, and that I tweeted point blank to quote that by saying, I know that Trump and Putin both hate American democracy, but there is no evidence to support that. And the Trumpers, like ones with big followings, attacked me saying I was saying Russia was involved. I was actually saying the opposite. And it shows you what liars some of his base have become. I mean, it's in writing. I literally said, there's no proof Russia was involved in this. And I put it in point blank. But that I raised the word Russia, they were so angered by that. So they lied and said I was suggesting that Russia was involved. I was actually doing the opposite. And they knew that. But what did Trump do today? You've got a situation, people wake up in the morning, there's a question about the election integrity. No one's really sure what's going on there. And he goes on Twitter and tries to encourage and stoke flames, and so does his sons and his campaign manager, that the election itself is rigged. that our integrity of our elections are in question. And he first tweets, the Democratic caucus, an unmitigated disaster. Nothing works. Just like they ran the country. Remember Obamacare website? That should have cost 2%. The only person that can claim a big victory in Iowa last night is Trump. Then he tweets later, Trump, the Democratic Party in Iowa really messed up, but the Republican Party did not. I had the largest re-election vote ever, 97% of the vote. 97% of the vote Trump got there, which is right up there with Saddam Hussein and Vladimir Putin. That's who gets 97%. Trump's sons, Don Jr. and Eric, were tweeting about rigged election. And Trump's campaign manager, Brad Pascarell, tweeted, quality control equals rigged. And he goes on to say, it would be natural for people to doubt the fairness of this process. And that's Trump campaign manager. That's their campaign theme. If this happened in 2012 to the Iowa caucus, to the Republicans, do you think President Obama would have tried to encourage people not to believe in our elections being safe and secure? Do you think he would go out there to try to get people to question the integrity of our election systems? Or do you think President Obama, the last real president, would have done everything he could to encourage people to have confidence in the system? And even President Obama, I would tell you that I think he would say, we'll offer DHS to help you, Iowa Republicans, whatever you need, we are there for you. But not Trump and Trump's team. They're laying the groundwork for the rigged election. And that's not speculation. In 2016, October 2016, the closing weeks, Trump at his rally in Greensboro, many of you remember this, saying, this whole election is being rigged. The whole thing is one big fix, one big ugly lie. It's one big fix, close quotes. At the third and last debate, Donald Trump asked point blank, will you accept the results of the election? He said, I'll have to look at it at the time. I'll keep you in suspense. Then and now, Trump is doing the same thing. He is fermenting the idea that the election results on November 3rd are going to be invalid, that if he loses, they're invalid, that it's a rigged system. And he is priming his base to accept that. He did in 2016. They're doing it now with him, both his sons, Brad Pascarell, the campaign manager. And I will tell you this, a real leader would say, hey, there was a mistake there, but if we can help, because we're all on this together, because we're Americans, and I'm president of the United States of America, not just king of my base, I'm here to help you. But someone who does not believe in our democracy does what Trump does, tries to fuel the flames and fan the flames that it's a rigged system, our election integrity is at question. You can't trust it. And he's doing that now, so in November when he loses, and he's going to lose, he can say it's invalid. Donald Trump is how democracies die. It is very clear what this man is about. So tonight, he's got the State of the Union. He'll lie. He'll leave out. And we'll go through tomorrow how much he left out. He'll just puff up the good stuff and he'll leave out the rest. And he thinks he's doing well. But as soon as he feels like he is losing, really, you're going to hear this rigged election, rigged garbage. So this is where we are. Now, no update on the voting. The first preference, and it's funny, in the past in Iowa, they've not released the first preference. To me, the first preference, once I've seen it now, I'm like, I don't even care what the second preference is. I don't care what the delegates are. It's only 41 delegates. Between first and second, you're talking about one delegate or two delegates. It means nothing. The first preference is really the indicator of the grassroots support for any candidate. And I'm saying this objectively. I don't care who won the election. I'm telling you, that's the way it is. The first preference is, this is who I want. Second preference is, my candidate didn't get to 15%, so now I have to pick someone else. That doesn't happen in the real world. This caucus mentality, this idea that if you don't get enough votes, then people move to someone else. We don't do that in the real world. So the first preference, and this is based on 62% of voting, Bernie Sanders wins. Then Buttigieg comes in second. And then Liz Warren third. And the way it came in, Bernie got 26%. Buttigieg 25%, so it's 1%, very, very close. Liz Warren 20%, Joe Biden 13%, Amy Klobuchar 12%. Then it drops way off. Andrew Yang 1%, Tom Steyer less than 1%. Tulsi Gabbard surprisingly got near zero because people who go to the caucuses don't watch Fox News apparently, because that's where she goes on. So that's the first alignment. And to me, that's all that matters. Because again, the delegates are going to shift. This is talking about who is getting support among Democrats in Iowa. Now I understand why they didn't release it, because the second one means nothing. So the first one, Bernie won the state. Buttigieg came in second. Liz Warren came in third. Joe Biden, a disappointing 13%. Well, there's 40% of the votes out. They're estimating 60 to 70,000 votes out. It could change everything. These are just the numbers right now as of 6:20 Eastern time. I'm telling you, the second preference, once people who didn't have 15% were released, and you could either go home or support someone, clearly some of the Amy Klobuchar people who are more moderate went to Buttigieg. So in the second preference, Buttigieg gets 26.9%, Bernie 25.1%, Warren 18.3%. So she goes down, which is bizarre because that's sort of not the way it's supposed to work. But in any event, and then Biden slightly up to 15%. This second preference, and I'm not saying it because I like any one candidate. I'm saying it means nothing. Because after this, you don't do that. You just go in a voting booth and you vote. So I would recommend to people, if you really want to gauge the energy on the ground for our candidates, in a state that is not representative of the nation in any way, 90% white does not represent the country. But if you want to get a sense there, Bernie won so far. Buttigieg very, very close. Liz Warren at 20%. That's your top tier right now. It is Bernie, Buttigieg, and Warren. That's the top tier. Joe Biden has slid to second tier, right there with Amy Klobuchar neck and neck. So you have a second tier of, I'll put it this way, if Klobuchar were to drop out, the only thing the second preference gives you a sense of where her people might go in the nation. And they could go to Buttigieg. It seems they're more excited about Buttigieg than Biden. And all of a sudden you're looking at Buttigieg in the top tier, neck and neck, on a national level for New Hampshire. And then, unless he makes inroads into communities of color, he has no real long-term chance. But this is where we are. So I'd love to hear what you think. We have a lot of guests, but we're going to take calls in between. Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence is going to join us for a little bit at the bottom of the hour, just for a little bit. And we're going to take more calls. We're doing our best to get Democratic Senate candidates on. We had Jamie Harrison on last week. Tonight, at the top, we're going to have from Kentucky, Charles Booker. He's a state rep. He wants to take on Mitch McConnell. Everybody knows Amy McGrath there, and we're going to try to get Amy on as well. But Charles Booker, more liberal than Amy McGrath, much more progressive, and waging a good fight there. So we're going to have him on. And then on Wednesday, John Ossoff in Georgia, Democrat running for the Senate there. So our goal is to help not just win this election at the top, but to take the Senate back. And we're going to do all we can to put on the various Senate candidates in the primary field. And then whoever the nominee is, have them on in these key states. Georgia could be winnable, possible. Kentucky, South Carolina, plus, of course, Colorado. We already had one candidate on. We'll have more on. And Maine, we're trying our best, and we will get the leading candidates from there on our show. And then whoever the nominee is, we're going to get them on here a lot. And I hope that you will like them so much. You will volunteer from wherever you live in the country. You'll make a donation to them from wherever you live in the country. That's what this is about. It's winning the White House and, just as important, winning the Senate. Because that's a game changer. We can change policy. Let's take a break. Come back. We're going to take calls in between. Congressman Lawrence is going to join us at 6:30, but only for a little bit. We'll come back to take calls. So I want to hear from you. What do you think of so far? Let's not fight over the Iowa. It's a mess. Let's talk about the results. What do you think of the results? What do you think of what this might predict? Are you surprised Buttigieg is just 1 point behind Bernie? I mean, just look at the first preference. That's really the key. It's Buttigieg. It's Bernie, then Buttigieg within 1 point. I mean, they are the two winners of this. And then Liz Warren at 20%, very solid showing. And if you add up the progressives here, well, actually the centrists outnumber us in a way. They all united. They do. So, all right, let's take a break. Come right back. 866-997-4748. Be right back.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
I think Trump clips that they play on the media should come with a health warning saying that if you watch this,